Hello and welcome back to an overview of curriculum development. This is video part 3, and we're going to begin with the following objectives. Objective 10 is to identify 3 types of post-school options for students with autism. 11 is identify types of educational post-school options for students with autism, which is one of the 3 types of post-school options. Identify types of employment post-school options for students with autism. That's another one of the 3 types of post-school options. Identify types of living post-school options for students with autism. That's the third of the 3 types of post-school options for students with autism. So for any given student with autism, there's more than one way or more than one trajectory they could take in their life. And it ultimately can be useful in terms of developing curricula, individualized curricula, to conceptualize post-school options for students with autism in as 3 different categories: educational, employment, and living options. Alright, so each of these are the different, what we have here is kind of like a cascade of the different school transitions a student goes through. They go from potentially childcare to preschool to elementary school to middle school to high school, and then they get to post-school. And in post-school, there are 3 general categories of post-school options: college, employment, or living. And so we're going to look at each one of those in detail. Then I'm going to ask you some questions about them. So 3 types of educational post-school options for students with autism are the following. The first one is community college. Now for students with autism who have difficulties forming relationships and organizing their schedule and perhaps using transportation and and have difficulties in other areas that might make it hard for them to reliably and consistently attend class on campus, online classes might be appealing. In community college, an advantage is that it provides the opportunity to remediate a lack of preparation for 4-year college. Now that's particularly the case for students with autism, other developmental disabilities, intellectual disabilities, but it's for other students too. For example, I didn't complete high school. I actually dropped out of high school early and went to community college. And when I went to community college, I actually withdrew from all of my classes in the first semester because I realized that I wasn't ready, that I didn't know how to study, I didn't know how to organize my time, and I gave it another try next semester. And anyway, so I was at community college for about 2 years, and by going to community college first after high school, I was successfully remediated. Well, let's say the community colleges successfully remediated my lack of preparation for the 4-year college, as demonstrated by my successful transfer to a 4-year university, University of California, San Diego. So 4-year colleges and universities is another type of post-school educational option for students with autism. And most universities offer vocational rehabilitation, disability and counseling services, and other special programs to help students with autism succeed. There are also vocational training institutes. So they have similar services and special programs available to students with autism, that is, services and special programs that are similar to those they might find at a 4-year college or university. It could be an appropriate alternative to an academic degree for some. And students can obtain training, certification, or licensure in trades such as plumbing, film technology, computer design, or cosmetology, just to name a few. So these are 3 types of educational post-school options for students with autism. There are 3 post-school options, or 3 categories of post-school options, one of which is educational. And these are 3 types of educational, so community college, four-year college and universities, vocational training institutes. A second post-school category or option for students with autism is employment. And here we're going to list 4 types of employment post-school options. The first is a day treatment program. They're provided post-school support on pre-vocational, independent living, and leisure skills. Daily, for 4 to 5 hours per day. And the goal is to enable them to transition to supported employment, so another type of employment post-school option. So if the student with autism is headed, if the team thinks the student's headed towards the employment post-school option, then it might be, for some students, it might be most appropriate to assume that they're going to begin in a day treatment program as the first step. So this is an option for students who do not master skills for supported employment, the next step, prior to graduation or aging out of school. So let's look at the next step, supported employment. This is also known as a sheltered workshop. Other names are vocational training centers or vocational training academies. Individuals in these settings are supervised closely in a work situation at a level of the workplace hierarchy that matches their skills. And the goal is to phase support so that they transition to semi-independent or competitive employment. So that would be the next step. So in the day treatment program setting, the goal is to transition to supported employment, to acquire those skills where they'll be successful in supported employment. The goal in supported employment is to sufficiently reduce the amount of support the student needs to be successful in a transition to semi-independent and competitive employment. Competitive integrated employment, generally the student is trained for a specific job, and vocational rehabilitation counselors or school-based job coaches provide assistance. So some examples might be working on the assembly line in a factory, or greeting people at the entrance of a department store, or stocking the shelves in a grocery store. So these are very specific jobs. I just named a few. That's a very narrow sample. Okay, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of potential jobs out there, but just to name a few. Now, another type of employment could be the military. But students who go into the military can't be on medication. They have to pass an exam. And the family and the student should carefully consider the likelihood of their success in a military lifestyle. Okay. So a second category of post-school options for students with autism is employment. And we just covered 4 types of employment: day treatment program, supported employment, competitive integrated employment, and military. The final, or the third, post-school option for students with autism is living, what's called a living post-school option. And there are 6 types. First is with parents or other family members. So this particular option, it may include advantages of safety and comfort of parental care. But it may not be sustainable for parents due to many years of stress and responsibility associated with caring for the student through early childhood, adolescence, their teenage years. Now, respite services is another type of living post-school option. It's available to parents. And it provides assistance in the form of supervision or weekend housing to relieve parents of some stress and responsibility. It's available at any age, not just adulthood. So in other words, children who are receiving early intervention services, their parents can get respite services. same with older children, teenagers. This is really the purpose of this, is to provide parents with some relief. And so respite services aren't really, they're not teaching the student anything. They're not like, typically they're not doing things like laundry or preparing meals or any of that stuff. Typically they're there just to supervise the student and provide them with a safe environment, to give the parents peace of mind and let them get out of the house and go run errands or take some personal time, meet with friends and family and so forth, without having to be constantly supervising the learner. Group homes is another type of living post-school option. Typically house up to 6 individuals who are functionally similar, and they have paid live-in staff. Structured and supervised leisure and work activities to promote independence, success, and quality of life. Individuals may need help grooming, dressing, and feeding self. The level of support provided is beyond that provided by an assisted living facility. So these group homes are typically fairly expensive in my experience. But in my experience, they can provide a pretty high quality of life, you know, where, yeah, individuals are kind of like living in their own house, and they have people, you know, taking care of them and making sure they get out of the house and get some exercise and go to restaurants and socialize and do activities and I don't know, go to concerts, wherever, you know, provide them with transportation. So in my experience, the places where I've worked, the group home can be a really nice arrangement. Not that the other arrangements aren't nice, but I just happen to have experience with that I can share with you. So number 4 is assisted living facilities. So this is the 4th living post-school option. There's less support than a group home, and required skills typically include the ability to independently groom and feed self. The 5th option, type of living post-school option is supervised apartment. May consist of a private home owned by the parents. May include paid caregivers who do more than respite, such as facilitate outings, and the functioning level of individuals can vary. This supervised apartment is even more expensive and probably provides, I think, a probably higher quality experience than group homes. All right, and then, and I should say that the supervised apartment doesn't necessarily mean that they're living on their own. They may also, you know, live with 1 or 2 or 3 other functionally similar individuals. And then the 6th living post-school option is a self-contained village. And I don't have any experience with this one. Home, work, leisure, training, and more are all conducted in a dormitory or a cottage living type of arrangement. These are expensive and rare, and therefore, in most cases, inaccessible to most people. Alright, so now we're going to go through some ASRs. ASR 18, which is a post-school option for some students with ASD, DD, or ID. A, middle school, B, high school, C, employment, or D, group homes. A couple more seconds. Alright, I'll close the poll, and the answer here is C, employment. So middle and high school are completed before post-school. Group homes are a type of post-school living option, not a category of post-school living options. Okay. I'll say that again. The group home is a type of post-school living option, not a category of post-school options. ASR 19, which is another post-school option for some students with ASD, DD, ID. A, vocational I should say training institutes, B, homeschooling, C, assisted living, or D, college. A couple more seconds. All right, I'll close the poll, and the answer here is D, college. College is one of the three categories of post-school options. That's why it's correct. So vocational training institutes are types of employment, and assisted living is an example of a living post-school option, and then homeschooling is just a distractor. All right, ASR 20, which post-school option provides an opportunity to remediate lack of preparation for four-year college? Is it A, community college, B, vocational training institute, or C, four-year college or university? A couple more seconds. All right, I'll close the poll, and the answer here is A, community college. ASR 21. In which employment post-school option for students with autism is the student trained for a specific job, and vocational rehabilitation counselors or school-based job coaches provide assistance? Is it A, day treatment, B, supported employment, C, competitive integrated employment, or D, military? I'll give you a couple more seconds. All right, I'll close the poll, and the answer here is C, competitive integrated employment. ASR 22. In which living post-school option for students with autism do they typically require certain skills such as independently grooming and feeding self? Is it A, assisted living facility, B, supervised apartment, C, self-contained village, or D, respite services? A couple more seconds. All right, I'll close the poll, and the answer is A, assisted living facility. All right, that wraps up this video part. I'll see you in the next video part when we'll cover curriculum development.